Most people confuse intelligence with IQ scores or academic degrees, but a Stoic knows better. True wisdom isn't handed to you at birth. It's something you forge moment by moment through thoughtful reflection, intentional action, and disciplined daily habits. As Seneca wisely said, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Life isn't too brief, we simply allow too much of it to drift by. Picture this, a day without learning, without pausing to reflect, without improving even slightly. That day isn't just lost, it's a missed opportunity to become sharper, more resilient, more intelligent. But here's the uplifting truth. Intelligence isn't static. You can develop it, you can build it. You can train your mind just like you train a muscle. This isn't about showing off or trying to appear smarter than others. This is about seeing deeper, thinking clearer, and living better. It's about aligning with the ancient Stoic belief that life is about constant inner growth. So in this video, I'll share 15 Stoic habits that, if practiced daily, will make you wiser not someday, but starting today. Each habit is a stepping stone, and together, they create a foundation for enduring wisdom. Stay with me until the very end, because this journey is more than just tips. It's a new way of living. If you're truly ready to reshape your mind and live with intention, comment below, I choose discipline. Let's begin. Habit 1. Ask questions. We often overlook the simplest yet most powerful habit, asking questions. In Stoic philosophy, wisdom is not about having all the answers. It's about relentlessly seeking what truly matters. Every question is a doorway, and asking it is an act of courage. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That quote doesn't just motivate, it unlocks the soul. When you ask the right questions, you don't just solve external problems, you begin to understand yourself. Questions dismantle bias. They crack open new viewpoints. They allow critical thought to breathe. Take Leonardo da Vinci, painter, engineer, inventor, thinker. He didn't just sketch birds. He asked, "How do birds fly?" That single question drove him to dissect birds, to study the science of flight, to envision machines long before humans ever left the ground. His notebooks weren't just drawings, they were questions made real. Through this one habit, Da Vinci blurred the lines between art and science. He became a symbol of curious, fearless intelligence. But here's the best part. You don't need to be Da Vinci. You just need to be willing to ask. Even the smallest question is a spark. It's proof that your mind is alive, in motion, seeking growth. In the Stoic view, the person who asks the right question is already halfway to wisdom. Asterisk. Habit 2. Read across genres. You want to refresh your thinking every day? Open a book. But don't just read what you already know. Explore different genres. Challenge your patterns. Human intelligence isn't linear, it's networked. The more variety of knowledge you take in, the more flexible and insightful your mind becomes. Fiction fuels empathy. History teaches perspective. Philosophy deepens reasoning. Science sharpens logic. Every genre speaks to a different part of your brain, and together, they help you form a more complete view of the world. So don't limit yourself. Read broadly. Read bravely. Let your mind wander across disciplines. It's where innovation lives in. That's how a Stoic becomes wiser. One page at a time. Picking up right where we left off, remember that one courageous turn of a page can rewire an entire mindset. Each genre you explore isn't just a different shelf in a library. It's a different corridor of your brain lighting up in real time. A novel tugs at the strings of empathy, letting you feel another pulse inside your own chest. A science essay snaps those strings into precise geometric lines, challenging emotions. With equations, history whispers, context reminding you that every problem you face has an ancestor who survived worse, and a sharp business memoir grabs your shoulders and points you toward action now, not someday. Read broadly enough, and the mind starts playing matchmaker, pairing a line of ancient poetry with a breakthrough in behavioral economics, marrying a Renaissance painting with a modern leadership dilemma. The cross-pollination is strategic thinking in its purest form, seeing a pattern inside the chaos, finding the solution hidden in a paradox. Creativity is born the moment too unlikely. Ideas bump shoulders and say, let's build something together. Look at Warren Buffett. Many imagine him buried in balance sheets, but his real edge comes from the biographies, the psychology essays, the slices of history he devours for hours each day. Markets, after all, are powered by people, not spreadsheets, and people are endlessly complex. Buffett knows that if you want to predict numbers, you must first understand hearts and habits. Marcus Aurelius understood this too. Between military campaigns and imperial decrees, he read everything from medical treatises to tragic verse. For him, wisdom wasn't a trophy case of facts, it was a living mosaic. Each tile borrowed from a different discipline, all arranged in the service of a life worth living. So the next time you reach for a book, pause. Ask yourself, when was the last time I read something that scared me with its newness? That slim poetry collection or dense physics text might hold the single sentence that cracks open the problem glaring at you from your desk. Habit 3. Surround yourself with smarter minds. If books sculpt your thinking, people forge your horizon. Picture this. Mark Zuckerberg, still an unremarkable undergrad at Harvard, slips away from his monitor and starts trading ideas with a circle of driven rowers. Athletic, ambitious, strategically ruthless. That proximity to high standards didn't just polish his code, expanded his sense of what was possible. From that mental stretch came Facebook. The rest is digital folklore. Your environment is a silent architect, drafting the blueprint of who you will become. The Stoics called it an awareness of external influence. A wise warrior, they said, studies the terrain before swinging a sword. Spend your evenings with chronic complainers and watch your own thoughts fill with exhaust, fumes of resignation. Walk beside men and women who debate, experiment, and refuse to quit, and you'll feel your mind lengthen its stride just to keep up. Epictetus pressed this point with surgical clarity. Keep company only with those who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Notice he didn't mention intellect alone. He spoke of presence, of energy. Smart company isn't merely clever. It's alive, curious, propelled by a fire that invites you closer instead of burning you away. So audit your circle. Who makes you reach for a bigger idea? Who leaves you thinking longer after the conversation ends? Seek those voices. And soon the ceiling you once called talent will feel more like a floor you've already outgrown. Stay tuned, because in the next habit, we'll see how to transform idle curiosity into disciplined mastery, one deliberate schedule at a time. Habit 3. Surround yourself with smarter minds. If books sculpt your thinking, people forge your horizon. Picture this. Mark Zuckerberg, still an unremarkable undergrad at Harvard, slips away from his monitor and starts trading ideas with a circle of driven rowers. Athletic, ambitious, strategically ruthless. That proximity to high standards didn't just polish his code. It expanded his sense of what was possible. From that mental stretch came Facebook, and the rest is digital folklore. Your environment is a silent architect, drafting the blueprint of who you will become. The Stoics called it an awareness of external influence. A wise warrior, they said, studies the terrain before swinging a sword. Spend your evenings with chronic complainers and watch your own thoughts fill with exhaust fumes of resignation. Walk beside men and women who debate, experiment, and refuse to quit. And you'll feel your mind lengthen its stride just to keep up. Epictetus pressed this point with surgical clarity. Keep company only with those who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Notice he didn't mention intellect alone. He spoke of presence, of energy. Smart company isn't merely clever. It's alive, curious, propelled by a fire that invites you closer instead of burning you away. So audit your circle. Who makes you reach for a bigger idea? Who leaves you thinking longer after the conversation ends? Seek those voices. And soon the ceiling you once called talent will feel more like a floor you've already outgrown. Stay tuned. Because in the next habit, we'll see how to transform idle curiosity into disciplined mastery, one deliberate schedule at a time. Habit 4. Take time to reflect. If smart minds shape your direction, stillness refines it. In a world that constantly demands more and more output, more updates, more attention, the rare space is not a bigger platform, but a quieter mind. Yet it's within that calm that wisdom breathes. Pause for a moment. Think of how often you're caught reacting instead of responding. Notifications buzz. Conversations blur. Tasks overlap. In that whirlpool of noise, something subtle but essential has lost the ability to reflect reflection. Isn't idleness. It's the brain's recalibration. When you take time to pause, step back, and examine your actions, your mind starts making magic. It doesn't just store memories, it connects dots, finds meaning between moments. It extracts lessons from chaos. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That isn't just poetic comfort, it's a mental strategy. Your inner world, when cultivated, becomes a compass. It shows where you've drifted, points to where you need to go. We're not only shaped by what we do, we're shaped by how we think about what we've done. That post-action clarity, it's reflection. It's the difference between going through life and growing through life. Think of Tim Ferriss. Amid a packed schedule, he carves out white space each week, periods where he does nothing but think. That silence isn't waste, it's investment. It helps him spot blind spots, avoid rushed decisions, and plan with razor-sharp precision. In Stoicism and in faith, a like stillness is sacred. God doesn't shout in noise, he speaks in silence. Likewise, your own wisdom doesn't thrive in clutter. It whispers when you're finally quiet enough to hear it. So if your goal is wisdom, don't just chase knowledge, chase clarity. Carve time for solitude. Reflect not just once a year, but once a day. That's where true understanding lives. Habit 5. Exercise regularly. Your mind isn't just housed in your body, it's fueled by it. The path to a sharper brain doesn't begin with books, it begins with movement. Physical exercise increases blood flow, delivering oxygen and nutrients that stimulate brain health. One key player is BDNF, a protein that supports neurons, enhances memory, and boosts your learning capacity. Each breath, each heartbeat, each drop of sweat. It's not just fitness, it's focus training. Consider Sam, a young programmer chained to his desk 12 hours a day, mentally foggy, physically drained, and creatively stuck. One day he read that running sharpens the mind, not just the body, so he started small, 10 minutes around the block. A month later, it became routine. Something shifted. His thoughts cleared. Tasks became easier. His energy surged. He wasn't just moving, he was waking up. His body became a catalyst for mental clarity. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Exercise is a daily decision to reclaim that power you can't control. The economy. You can't control the traffic, but you can control what you feed your body, how you move it, and how you nurture your mind through that movement. The discipline of training bleeds into everything you work with: more focus, rest more deeply, and handle stress more calmly. So ask yourself, have I moved today? Have I chosen momentum over stagnation? If yes, you've already taken the first. Step 2, being sharper than you were yesterday. If you've experienced this change, comment below. I choose to move. Habit 6, prioritize healthy eating. We often treat the brain as if it's separate from the body, but it isn't. The mind is biological. It needs fuel. Even the fastest computer slows without power. Likewise, your sharpest thoughts will dull. If your brain is undernourished, if you start your day on an empty stomach or worse, with a breakfast loaded with sugar and processed fat, sure setting your mind up for failure. The brain, just like the body, needs the right kind of fuel to function at its best. And when that fuel is missing or misaligned, clarity fades, focus wavers, and even your motivation begins to dip. Science has shown us something simple but profound. The brain runs on glucose, but not all glucose is equal. The sugar in pastries or soda might give you a quick spike, but it leaves you crashing hard. In contrast, sugars from fruits, whole grains, and minimally processed foods offer a slow, steady release of energy. That's the kind of fuel your mind craves, the kind that sustains critical thinking, enhances memory retention, and keeps you emotionally balanced. Beyond glucose, there's a whole cast of nutrients that play vital roles in cognitive performance. Omega-3 fatty acids help with focus and memory. B vitamins support neurotransmitter function. Magnesium calms the nervous system. Zinc supports mental agility. These aren't luxury nutrients. They're essential tools for your brain's daily work. It's no accident that high performers treat breakfast like a strategy session. Take Bill Gates, for example. He once shared his morning habit of eating oatmeal with chia seeds and fruit a meal. That's simple, nutrient-dense, and effective. That wasn't a random choice. It was an intentional investment in his cognitive clarity before a day full of big decisions the Stoics would approve. After all, they taught that while we can't control external events, we can control our habits in eating. It's one of the most repetitive and underestimated habits we have. But therein lies its power. Eating well isn't just about physical health, it's about mental clarity, it's emotional stability, and showing up in your life with full awareness. When you eat with intention, you're not just fueling your body, you're feeding your ability to think clearly, to process complex ideas, to manage stress with grace. So the next time you think about intelligence, don't just look to books or brilliant podcasts. Look at your plate. Habit 7. Keep a journal. Let's talk about one of the quietest, yet most powerful daily practices. Writing, not for likes, not for others, but for yourself. When you put pen to paper, something shifts. The noise of the world fades, and the voice inside becomes clearer. In a society driven by speed, schedules, and social feeds, journaling is a radical act of slowing down. It's a moment to press pause, to gather your scattered thoughts, and to listen not to others, but to yourself. You're not just writing events, you're untying emotional knots, naming vague feelings, capturing ideas before they vanish. Writing clarifies. It helps you organize your thinking, find patterns in your behavior, and reflect without judgment. It's a mirror for the mind and a training ground for expression. Over time, it's not just your writing that sharpens, it's your thinking. Your ability to articulate, your understanding of the world and yourself. History is full of brilliant minds who journaled religiously. Take Benjamin Franklin. Each night, he didn't just document what he did, he challenged himself with questions like, what good did I do today? What can I improve tomorrow? That self-accountability made his growth intentional. His journal wasn't a diary, it was a tool for self-mastery. Looking back at what you've written over weeks, months, is like walking through your own evolution. You see the struggles you've overcome, recognize recurring patterns, you catch moments of insight that were too quiet to remember, but too important to lose. And the best part? Journaling doesn't require hours or literary genius. Just a few lines a day can shift your perception, strengthen your awareness, and give shape to the thoughts that define who you are becoming. When writing becomes habit, your inner world becomes more structured, more grounded, and that foundation supports everything else. Habit 8. Try something new. You've already crossed the halfway marks of N habits behind you, and 8 more ahead. That commitment says a lot about you. You're not just curious, you're committed. But don't slow down now. What comes next will stretch your mindset even further. Let's dive into a habit that may seem simple at first glance. It has the power to radically rewire your brain. Trying something new. There's a strange paradox in how we grow. We want to become smarter, more adaptable, more capable, but we resist change. We avoid the discomfort of the unfamiliar, yet the brain thrives on challenge. It's a living machine designed not just to store knowledge, but to build new pathways when faced with the unknown. Every time you step into a new experience, learning a language, trying a different route to work, attempting a new skill, you disrupt routine. And in that disruption, your brain sparks into action. New neural connections form. Old assumptions get tested. Your capacity for learning expands in ways you can't predict. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Obstacles aren't barriers, they're gateways. Every time you fail while trying something new, you're not regressing, you're sharpening. Think about it. Your first drawing lesson might leave you frustrated. That first jog might be embarrassing. Your first sentence in a new language might feel clumsy. But these awkward beginnings are the soil from which growth emerges. Take J.K. Rowling. Before becoming a literary icon, she held a mix of jobs: tour guide, teacher, office assistant. Those seemingly scattered experiences added depth to her writing. They helped her create a magical world that wasn't just fiction, it was emotionally rich, deeply human, and globally relatable. Without those detours, there may have been no Hogwarts. So don't wait for the perfect moment. You'll never feel 100% ready. Start now. Make mistakes. Learn. Grow. Let yourself be surprised by what you're capable of, because the habit of embracing the new doesn't just increase intelligence. It makes life endlessly interesting. Habit 9. Apply and share knowledge. Here's a question worth sitting with. Do you truly understand something if you can't explain it to someone else? In Stoic philosophy, wisdom isn't something you hoard. It's something you activate. You must apply it. When you can, you should share it, because teaching, whether formal or casual, is the ultimate stress test for your knowledge. When you try to explain an idea to another person, the gaps in your understanding become visible. You notice where your grasp is shallow. You discover details you once skimmed past. And you're forced to translate complexity into clarity, a skill that defines real intelligence. Take Salman Khan. He didn't start by launching a global education platform. He started by helping his cousin with math and explaining concepts to her. He realized how powerful clarity could be. That led to Khan Academy, a tool that's now transformed learning for millions. So whatever you're learning, don't keep it locked away. Discuss it, teach it, Share it with a friend, a colleague, a stranger online. Not to show off, but to reinforce your understanding, to clarify your thinking, and to continue your own growth. Because when you teach something well, you don't just prove you know it, you become the kind of person who helps others grow too. Once, Salman Khan turned on the camera to explain math to his cousin. Something changed. He had to slow down. He had to choose the right words, select relatable examples, and step outside of his own knowledge to see through someone else's eyes. In doing so, he didn't just reinforce his own understanding, he unknowingly began building Khan Academy, a platform that would transform how millions learn. That ripple effect, it began with a small, quiet act, sharing. Whenever you retell something, you've learned, whether you write a blog, explain an idea to a friend, teach a child, or discuss insights in conversation, you turn knowledge into lived experience. That act of teaching challenges you to filter what matters, uncover weak spots, revise your assumptions, and deepen your understanding. And along the way, you may be surprised. A friend's question might expose something you missed. New perspective might reframe how you once thought about a subject. In this way, sharing isn't just transmission, it's transformation. Turns static information into dynamic insight. Stoicism reminds us, don't keep what's good only for yourself. That includes wisdom. Teaching is not the end of learning, the deepening of it. When you share what you know, when you apply it through conversation or example, you don't just possess knowledge, you become it. It's no longer something you carry, something you are now. You might be wondering, am I truly spending my time on what matters? Habit 10. Be selective in investing time and effort. It's your most limited, non-renewable resource. Stoics and intelligent minds alike treat it as sacred, because every hour you waste on things that don't matter isn't just gone. It's stolen from the life you could have lived more fully. In a culture that rewards busyness, it's easy to say yes to everything, every task, every meeting, every distraction. But when your energy is scattered across too many directions, the quality of your attention collapses. You burn out, and worse, you lose depth. Deep thinking requires space. Focus demands that you choose wisely, as the Stoics would. Ask, is this the most important thing I should be doing today? That one question has the power to clear the fog and sharpen your direction. Consider Jack, a brilliant designer. For years, he took every project that came his way. 14-hour days, deadline after deadline, and still a growing emptiness. It wasn't until he began saying no that things shifted. He started filtering. He chose clients aligned with his values, poured himself into fewer projects but with more intensity. And as a result, not only did his work improve, but so did his peace of mind. Quality over quantity, it's more than a mantra. It's a strategy. Being selective doesn't just apply to work. It's how you handle relationships, information, habits, and even entertainment. What you say yes to defines your results. What you say no to defines your freedom. So pause and ask yourself, what am I trading my attention for? Is it worth it? If you're ready to take back control, drop a comment. I choose what matters. Habit 11. Take short breaks, there's another. Paradox Stoicism teaches, doing less wisely is often more powerful than doing everything at once. In a world that glamorizes hustle, breaks are seen as weakness. But in truth, they are wisdom, knowing when to pause, whether it's a walk, a breath, or 5 minutes of silence is a form of self-mastery. It's not lazy, it's strategic. And it's the habit that restores energy so your mind can return. Stronger, clearer, and sharper. Just 5 to 10 minutes, that's all it takes. A short break may sound trivial, but it's one of the most underrated tools for sustaining peak mental performance. In a world obsessed with pushing harder and doing, More, the wisdom of pausing often gets buried under endless to-do lists. But when you take a brief moment to step away, you're not stepping back, you're stepping forward with clarity. Short breaks act like mental reset buttons. They allow the brain to clear clutter, filter distractions, and quietly reprioritize. What truly matters is often in those small, quiet windows between tasks or after intense focus that the biggest breakthroughs arise. Not through effort, but through space. Not from grinding harder, but from allowing the mind to breathe. At Google, it's one of the most demanding and creative work environments in the world. Programmers often use the Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of deep, undistracted work, followed by a 5-minute break. Why? Because even the sharpest minds cannot maintain peak focus indefinitely. Breaks aren't productivity killers, they're quality enhancers. Just like a computer overheating from prolonged use, your brain needs time to cool down and recalibrate. It's not a weakness, it's intelligent energy management. From a Stoic lens, rest is not escape, it's an act of discipline. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer that there must be time. Progress, especially the kind that lasts, demands pacing. Perseverance is only sustainable when paired with pause. So if your goal is wisdom, if you're on a journey of daily growth, don't just push, breathe, pause, regain clarity. Because sometimes doing less is how we learn to think more. Habit 12. Be organized. Have you ever lost a great idea because you couldn't find the notebook you wrote it in? Or felt paralyzed by a desk piled with papers and a to-do list that looks like tangled yarn? If yes, you're not alone, and you're not disorganized by default. You're simply out of alignment with a habit that Stoics saw as essential. Order. External. Order reflects internal clarity. A clean workspace is more than a matter of aesthetics, it's a physical statement of mindset. When your environment is tidy, your brain can stop wasting energy looking for things, managing distractions, or reacting to chaos. That saved energy gets rerouted into deeper thinking, sharper creativity, and better decisions. The Stoics were minimalists in mindset. They knew that every act of discipline, even something as small as clearing your desk, was a step toward self-mastery. Marie Kondo popularized this idea in the modern age, not just through tidy drawers, but through the deeper question, what truly deserves space in your life? Just like you declutter your desk, you should also curate the people, habits, and information that fill your day. That's why top performers, from CEOs to creatives, treat organization as a sacred ritual. They clear physical space to clear mental space. They sort folders, label files, plan calendars, not because they love neatness for its own sake, but because it unlocks focus. Organization isn't a talent, it's a habit, one that's built, moment by moment. Every time you straighten your space, update your planner, or empty your inbox, you're not just tidying up, you're reclaiming control. You're training your mind to function with clarity. In today's noisy world, being organized is a bold form of rebellion, saying no to chaos and yes to intentionality. So ask yourself, is your outer world supporting your inner growth? If you're ready to start fresh, comment below. Clear? Think sharp. Habit 13. Observe and analyze other people's behavior. We often get caught up in our own thoughts, goals, and emotions. But if you want to become smarter every day, not just intellectually, but socially, you need to learn to observe others. Social intelligence doesn't come from talking more. It comes from watching more. People reveal themselves in the smallest ways, in their eyes, their gestures, their silences. When you learn to read body language, tone, and what's left unsaid, you start to see patterns most miss. You gain insight, not just into behavior, but into belief systems, fears, and values. This awareness makes you better at everything: navigating conflict, building trust, protecting yourself from manipulation, and connecting authentically. Smart people don't just listen to what is said, they listen to what's not being said. They pay attention to the silence between words, to the tension behind a smile, to the hesitation behind agreement. They learn to look beyond the mask, beyond the surface. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This isn't just a clever reminder to talk less. It's a guiding principle for deep observation. Listening, truly listening, requires patience. It demands that you slow down and become present. When you stop waiting for your turn to speak, and instead begin noticing how someone reacts, their body language, their timing, your tone, you're developing calm, focused awareness. And that awareness is the foundation of real intelligence. That's the Stoic way: to respond, not react. To read the room before reading your own script. Zig Ziglar, a legendary figure in sales, was a master observer. He never rushed a deal. He studied the customer's gaze, their pause at a price tag, their subtle frown, their glance toward a cheaper item. He didn't use those insights to manipulate. He used them to serve better, to help more precisely, to understand more clearly. This same mindset applies beyond business, to conversations with loved ones, to meetings at work, even to brief interactions with strangers. Everyone reveals pieces of themselves. Most people are broadcasting clues, they just don't realize it. And if you train yourself to watch for them, you'll not only become better at reading others, you'll start seeing yourself more clearly through your responses to them. That's where mature intelligence begins, not in isolation, but in interaction. Habit 14. Pay attention to your surroundings in our hyper-connected world. We often forget to connect with what's right in front of us. Our eyes are on screens. Our ears are plugged into playlists. Our minds are tangled in to-do lists. And yet, all around us, life is whispering valuable signals. If only we'd look up. Being present in your environment isn't just about mindfulness. It's about sharpening your perception. It's about becoming more attuned to the world, more adaptive, more insightful. The Stoics believed that the universe was constantly shifting and full of lessons. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Smart people don't just read books. They read the room, the moment, the unspoken patterns. They notice the waver in someone's voice during a pitch. They spot a small inconsistency in a report. They pick up on the slight change in someone's mood from one day to the next. These aren't superpowers. They're the result of training. Your awareness, George Lucas, the visionary behind Star Wars, didn't pull his galaxy from thin air. He studied myth, tribal cultures, ancient religions, and global storytelling traditions. By paying attention to the real world, he created a fictional universe that felt authentic, timeless, and deeply human. In everyday life, this habit of noticing transforms ordinary moments. A busy cafe becomes a study in body language. A walk through your neighborhood becomes a meditation on change and detail. A long bus ride becomes a window into the rhythm of the world. The Stoics never let the world pass them by unnoticed. They observed, they reflected. So ask yourself, how much have you missed because you weren't really looking? That question might sting, but it might also open your eyes. And now it's time to look inward. One of the most overlooked foundations of mental sharpness, one that many people sacrifice, but the wisest minds protect at all costs: sleep. Habit 15. Sleep when your body needs it. V spent time sharpening the mind through action, reflection, and discipline. But what about the quiet reboot that happens when we let go? Here's the paradox. In the pursuit of becoming smarter, many people sacrifice the very thing that would make them sharper - sleep. In a culture that idolizes the hustle, we often think staying up late, pushing through exhaustion, and outworking everyone else is the path to success. But the truth is clear. Chronic sleep deprivation is one of the fastest ways to dull your intelligence. You can't outsmart biology. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's not laziness. It's a neural workshop. During rest, your brain is hard at work, consolidating memories, regulating emotions, clearing out cognitive waste, and rebalancing your system for clarity and focus. It's not just recovery, it's preparation. When you sleep well, you wake up clearer, faster, more focused. Your thoughts align. Your problem-solving sharpens, and emotionally, you're steadier. On the flip side, missing rest leads to brain fog, poor judgment, forgetfulness, and increased stress. Over time, it can even impact long-term cognitive function. Arianna Huffington learned this the hard way. During her leadership at the Huffington Post, she collapsed from exhaustion literally. That moment forced her to reevaluate everything. She didn't double down on hustle. She restructured her life to prioritize rest. Today, she's a global advocate for the sleep revolution, showing that rest isn't a break from ambition. It's a foundation for it. The Stoics saw sleep not as indulgence, but as wisdom. Epictetus reminded us, no man is free who is not master of himself. Mastery isn't just about your work ethic. It's about knowing when to stop, when to rest, when to restore. So if you're studying hard, creating, building, striving, remember, sometimes the smartest move you can make is to turn off the lights and go to bed. In the silence of sleep, your mind doesn't shut down. It prepares to rise. You've just walked through 15 powerful Stoic habits that don't demand genius, only consistency. From asking better questions and observing others, to eating well, journaling, and resting wisely, each habit is a small decision. But together, they shape something profound. A smarter, stronger, more grounded version of you. The goal isn't to apply all of them at once. Start with one. Start with the one that speaks to you today. Then add another. And slowly, day by day, you'll find yourself thinking more clearly, living more deliberately, and growing in ways you never expected. So which habit will you begin with? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear your plan. And if this video helped you, show your support by clicking like, sharing it with someone you care about, and subscribing to Stoic Habitway, your home for timeless wisdom and practical self-mastery. And don't go just yet. The next video waiting at the end of this screen, it's your next step. Let's keep growing together. Until then, live clearly, think deeply, never stop becoming wiser, one habit at a time. From Stoic Habitway.